2016 ACC football kickoff in the books. Florida State had their turn at the podium today. Welcome back, Seminole fans from Charlotte, North Carolina. I'm Lane Hurt, along with Nole Insider senior writer Tim Linnefelt. Tim, a long day, some fun things, a lot of questions asked, but what were your impressions on just the day? We saw a lot of fun, interesting behind-the-scenes things.
Yeah, it was really kind of cool, especially to get a look. You know, a lot of times I think the perception is the players and coaches come, they answer questions for an hour or two, they have dinner and they're on their way, and that really isn't the case. At least it wasn't for Florida State. These guys got on a plane about 6 o'clock this morning, which means a 5 a.m. wake-up call, flew to Charlotte, and really hit the ground running. They met some of their counterparts from some of the other schools and went in and out to various interview sessions with ESPN, Campus Insiders, Raycom, all those guys taking time, getting photo shoots, interviews, transition shots that they'll use for a game broadcast this year. It really is, while it's a fun thing, it just is kind of a grind, for lack of a better word, one thing after another. And it just kind of comes with being sort of the face of the program, like Florida State's representatives this year, Dalvin Cook and DeMarcus Walker. Those guys are those faces of the program, and they sort of learned what it takes to represent the program to the nation like that.
It's not all business on this trip. They get to do some fun things. Andy Staples from SI got to tie DeMarcus Walker's bow tie.
And thank goodness he was here, because otherwise I don't know what we would have done.
And then also virtual reality. The guys had a chance to do that. Coach Fisher did it as well. It looked like that just looked like a blast. Yeah,
they had Coach Fisher was in something like a haunted house or something, and when the big reveal happened, he about jumped out of his shoes, I thought. So that was pretty neat, and it was fun watching those guys do that. And they also had something where they designed, you know, those play call sheets that the hurry up no huddle offense uses with always, you know, like pictures of Backstreet Boys and Mickey Mouse or whatever. They had those that the players had to design themselves, and that was pretty fun to see as well. So all in all, I got to talk to DeMarcus Walker a little bit ago and asked him, you know, what he thought of these responsibilities and serving, you know, in this role for Florida State. And he said he really, really embraced it as a senior. He feels like it's his responsibility to kind of, you know, put on that face for the program and show people what Florida State's about. And so it's fun to see a guy who a couple of years ago was just a freshman learning, now as the senior leader of the team, and I think certainly on defense one of the unquestioned leaders of the team, to see them embrace this role so well and do such a great job with it. I know DeMarcus held court in this room for probably near a half an hour with a lot of people, you know, non-local media who had no idea really who he was or what he was like to talk to, and I think they came away really impressed by him.
In the end, as you mentioned, they did come here to talk football, and they did do a lot of that. The thing I really took away from Coach Fisher's press conference with the digital media was he was asked about the Ole Miss game and starting with Ole Miss, and he said he loves having that opportunity to start with a big-time game. You can take a listen to his quote right here.
I mean, anytime you have a significant opponent you feel is a big-time opponent like that, your off-season, it's ramped up. It's just a natural instinct. Coaches don't have to say a word. Their kids know it. They know everything that goes on. They know the importance of the games. They know the competition. That's why these guys come here. I mean, they know how to compete.
Tim, it seems like that's a great way to get a team's attention to start the season.
Well, yeah, you know, you always wonder. I remember, you know, a few years ago when this was Jimbo Fisher's first and second years, they played Oklahoma. I think the one year was the second game of the season, and the next year was the third game of the season. And you said to yourself, well, you know, how do you stay focused on those games before that when you had such a big game coming later, and now you kind of don't have to worry about that because you know that your first game is going to be a big nationally televised primetime game. It's been something of a trend for Florida State. They played Oklahoma State in Dallas a couple years ago. They played at Pittsburgh on the road the year before that. So I think Jimbo Fisher kind of, like he said, likes these primetime games because you don't have to worry about focus. It is maybe a bigger challenge than some other season openers that other teams will play, but you know that your team is going to take this game seriously. There's not a doubt that Florida State is going to take Ole Miss seriously to start the season.
It was also safe to say Dalvin Cook was one of the marquee attractions for this media days, and he answered so many questions. Everywhere he went, he had a big following. One of the things that people want to know is you're so great last year, even though you're injured. And he talked a lot about what he's doing this year to make sure that that doesn't happen again.
I just got to take care of my body, and last year it taught me a lesson, you know, stick in the training room, work on the little muscles you got. And I got a good relationship with my trainers and a really good relationship with my strength coaches, and they do a good job of monitoring me and taking care of my body. So, you know, that's the thing I take pride in.
health's kind of a big topic for all these guys, and DeMarcus has said he's been doing some things with some of the guys as well.
Yeah, he kind of let it slip. In fact, he was using it as a way to talk about Dalvin and how committed he's been to his off-season conditioning. But while in front of a group of reporters, he just sort of let it slip that he was walking back from yoga class when he saw Dalvin Cook on his way to the training table, and somebody said, I'm sorry, wait a second, yoga class? He said, oh, yeah. Well, what's that about? And he said, well, you know, for a defensive lineman, especially for an edge rusher, flexibility is really, really important. And so he started taking yoga as a way to improve his flexibility, and has recruited some teammates to join him. He mentioned Freddie Stevenson as one of the players who's gone to yoga. Sean McGuire has made it to a class or two, and a few other guys whose names are escaping me right now. But he said it's really helped him out a lot, that he can feel the way his body moves in ways that weren't possible a couple years ago. He mentioned how stiff he used to be, and now he feels like he's really flexible, really limber. He still said he hasn't quite mastered the downward-facing dog, and yes, somebody did ask. But other than that, he said that he feels like the yoga has really helped him improve his body, which I thought was kind of an interesting little revelation. Before
we get out of here, maybe one more football thing that you really took away from today?
You know, to take it back to Dalvin Cook, I just think that he's really impressive the way that he kind of carries himself as a high-profile player on a high-profile team, a Heisman candidate. His time is always going to be in demand, and he sat and fielded questions. I looked at my recorder for more than 45 minutes, and a lot of it was going back to his childhood in Miami. He talked about his days as a 4-year-old playing youth football in Miami. He said the first time he scored a touchdown, he ran the wrong way, and he heard his mom yelling at him, and he thought she was yelling because he was going to score a touchdown, and he was, not safe to say he sorted it out since then. But just to hear him tell those stories and shed some insight onto how he got to where he was, I thought that was pretty cool. And also a little aside for a Florida State fan, I thought you might appreciate. I asked him. He had said that he wasn't always sure he was going to play running back. He wasn't always a running back. He played defense. And I asked him, well, when did you know you were a good running back? And for context, he went to Miami Central High School, which is the same high school as Devontae Freeman, the former Florida State running back, now with the Falcons. And I said, when did you know you were going to be a good running back? And he said, when Devontae left. Because when Devontae was there, we didn't get the ball. He said Devontae got all the carries. Once Devontae left and he started getting the ball more, he and his friend Joe Yearby down at Miami, they were sort of a running back by committee. He said once that happened, it was when he knew he could play running back, and certainly he can.
Well, there you have it, Seminole fans. Another very successful ACC football kickoff. Tim Lindelfelt will have his article kind of taking you through the Noles day with a lot of behind-the-scenes stuff. We'll also have video from that behind-the-scenes stuff as well, that virtual reality. Seminoles had a chance to talk with Dabo Sweeney a little bit before the day even got going, and there will be much, much more. Make sure you stick with Seminoles.com. Jonathan Shalacy actually sat down with DeMarcus Walker as well and has a very nice story there about his family and growing up, and of course everything you need as fall camp is about to start.
Yeah, it'll be here before you know it. And there's so much from this. I think that we probably won't run out of content and interviews from this until fall camp starts, because we have hours upon hours that we have to sift through. But it should be a lot of fun. It'll all be coming your way.
There you have it. Stick with us on Seminoles.com. For Tim, I'm Lane. Go Noles.